Audio is included.
Should be completely live. Hello everybody, and welcome to the penultimate round of the Invictus Racing League F1 Realistic Performance with myself, Andrew Gattin, and today joining me in the comms box is my commentary colleague from a Tuesday night, Keiran Wright 92. How are you doing, Keiran?
I'm not too bad, Andrew. How are you, my friend?
I am doing fantastic. This is going to be a good race around the Catalonia circuit, isn't it? I think we've got quite a lot of drivers that could potentially win the championship within today and Singapore next week at the final round. What's your prediction?
Yeah, we have, as you say, got a lot of very, very strong drivers. I believe, if I remember rightly, anyone up to, I think it's the top 11 or top 12, can still theoretically, on paper, win the Drivers' Championship. I mean, in terms of people to look out for, I think you've got to be looking at those top 3 drivers. Your DJ Dannies, your Botch Gerbil, your Light Shocks, sort of the guys that have been there and thereabout pretty much every single race this season. There should be good to see a good strong battle between those guys at the top today going into this evening's race here in Spain.
Definitely, I think it's going to be a fantastic race around here. We've seen some good racing in the past around this circuit. Not necessarily one of my favourites, as a lot of the drivers actually nickname it as Welcome to Spain without the S. It can be quite a bit of a pain on the tyres, especially through the first and third sector, where if just a little bit of oversteer sometimes can be enough to ruin your tyres, and a little bit of, over intensive power on the car can just lead you into the gravel traps here at the Catalonia circuit. Obviously tonight we've got quite a lot of action going on, especially with the PlayStation League. I don't know if Keiran has it all up and he can run us through what's all been going on this week, and well, you can also tune in tonight. I'm guessing it's on the YouTube channel.
Yes, it will be, alongside us, as Andrew said, on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/InvictusRL. You have got the main guys, Tim and Malc, doing the PlayStation realistic side of things. That, as I say, runs alongside us here on Twitch at 8 PM on the YouTube channel. If PlayStation racing is more your thing, on a Monday and a Tuesday you have got the PlayStation F1 and F2 leagues respectively. F1 is hosted by Gareth and Sab on the YouTube channel. On a Tuesday night you have got Malc. Also on a Tuesday though, you do have myself and Dom the Noodle here on the Twitch channel. And then on a Wednesday evening you have got 4 races. That's right, 4 races to choose from. You've got PlayStation F3 and F4. The F3 side of things hosted by Hoppers and Vojtech, and the F4 hosted by Andriy, and the PC F1 and F2 races streamed by JCol and Dan for the F1, and Geek and its Fozzy for the F2. All 4 of those are available on the YouTube channel, Andrew.
Definitely, and I think that actually brings me on to my next point. If you haven't already, definitely go and check out the I'm going to find a YouTube video for you guys now, because I had to look at this the other day. I don't know if you've seen it, Keiran.
Is it the Geek and Fozzy
Invictus guys? Yes.
Yeah.
They uploaded the video showing how they do their comms on the PC. It's a shame that we can't do the same on Xbox, and it does seem, when you see that, it feels really unprofessional. But in reality, I absolutely love what they do, and yeah, they've done so much over the past while, and it just shows the level at which the guys really go to give you guys the fantastic coverage of not just the Invictus Racing League, but all racing leagues around the globe. Different hours of the day, I assume. Yeah, we're loading into the session now. We've got 18 minutes of short quali here at the Catalonia, as this is our penultimate round. Next week we'll have a reverse grid round Singapore, so a lot of the drivers, even if they can't get a good lap around the track today, would be looking to get some position for next week.
Yeah, next week in Singapore should be a very, very strong race, especially with that reverse grid aspect as well. It could really throw a spanner in the works of some of these drivers in terms of their challenge for that Drivers' Championship. I mean, DJ Danny has I think it's quite a slender lead, if I'm not mistaken, at the top of the drivers' standings. Yeah, 6 points separates DJ Danny and Botch Gerbil between the top two spaces here in the realistic performance division, and Lightshock is only a further 6 behind, so there's only 12 points separating the top 3. So it could be very, very interesting to see how the championship picture looks going into that final round in Singapore. Oh, we've got wet quali, Andrew.
Oh no, this is going to be strange for everybody here. It looks like it's light rain, so a lot of the drivers have already opted to go with inter tyres around here.
Can confirm.
It's going to be entertaining.
Yeah, I can confirm. We have been told by the race admins and the race officials that we have got a wet qualifying but a dry race.
Oh, this could really shake up the order. I think on the edge of quali here, my prediction is that we see DJ Danny on the top of the timing sheets here. Spain.
Yeah, I mean, I know Danny quite well from the Xbox F1 side of things, and he is lightning quick in the wet. I don't think I've actually seen a driver in the F1 2020 game as fast as DJ Danny in the wet. A fun fact, I'm not sure whether you knew this, Andrew, but at one point in the world, at one point in his life, DJ Danny had the fastest time in the wet around Singapore on this game. He was the world record holder in wet conditions around Singapore. Now, I know this isn't Singapore, but it just shows how strong that driver is in wet conditions.
Definitely, and you can just see him going round Repsol there. He just had a really nice line and a good exit, even on his outlap. So we're going to see when this dry line starts to develop, I think he's going to really push this Alfa Romeo into the top order.
Yeah, indeed. It should be very, very interesting to see. He's got another car just behind him. I think that might be Lightshock in the other Alfa Romeo just behind him. So he's going to go just a little bit slower now, just to try and see if you can make some space potentially.
I do believe it might be Botch Gerbil, and just behind him is Lightshock, 16 and a half. So obviously Botch Gerbil being given the Alfa Romeo this week, and Lightshock has been given the Haas after a little bit of a struggle performance over the past few races, but obviously we've had quite mixed conditions in our last few races here on the Xbox F1 Realistic Performance League, hosted by the Invictus Racing League. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it should definitely be an interesting watch, so stay tuned for everything there. I'm
just going to put us maybe on board, as we're on board now with DJ Danny, as he is on to start his first lap. He goes purple first sector into Repsol again. A little bit of oversteer coming around there, but you can already see that tri-line is already starting to develop. It's obviously not raining too hard in the game sense, so we could be seeing some really good racing from him this evening around Catalonia.
Indeed, I've just been told by a little birdie that there is an outside chance that quali could get even more shaken up by the fact that it could dry up in the next 10 minutes or so.
Ooh, that could really mean quite a lot. So the drivers out now, whatever times they post, and if they feel comfortable with it, it could all just be changed up in that last few minutes of quali here at Catalonia. We come round to the last corner, a motorbike. Got a lot of pace still coming through that car. He is going to post a bench time for everybody to race here. We see him cross the line in a 128.168, and then James F1 just behind him in a 129.0. So again, a little bit of a gap forming already.
Thunderdome.
Cars go through.
126.7 from Thunderdome. What a time! Watching Botch Gerbil.
That Alpha Tauri is very strong.
It is. It is a very strong car.
I think that just cements the fact that we're going to see that car with the downforce being a little bit faster. Right here.
For sure. I was on board with Botch Gerbil. He had a little bit of a moment coming out of the exit of turn 10 at the KCR, I believe it's pronounced. So he did lose a little bit of time on the lap there, so I wouldn't be surprised if you see Vojtech go for another lap time to try and see if he can improve on that P9 that he currently holds.
We're actually on board with him there, and he actually locked up coming into turn 5 there. And I'm not too sure if that's maybe just because his tyre temps are a bit strange, maybe on his setup, but he has got, you know, he's managing to keep some pace coming in now towards the back straight. Hopefully not going to make the same error he did last time. Going to brake at the 100-metre board. Very nicely done from him.
Ooh.
A little bit loose coming in there again. I think his setup might be just a little bit too fiddly for this track, don't you think?
I'm wondering whether, because he knows that there's a dry race, maybe he's leaned more towards that dry setup rather than using one that could favour him in wet conditions in qualifying. Obviously, knowing that he's got those 33 laps, I believe we have, of Barcelona here in those dry conditions. So that could be why you're seeing Vojtech just a little bit slower than he usually is.
Could potentially be that way, as we're on board with Moto here, one of the Xbox admins, as he's coming into Moto now. Imagine Moto coming into Moto. That's a good sight. But obviously we are seeing that dry line start to slowly envelop itself. Oh, he had a bit of a moment coming round into Catalonia, and he goes at 1:28.1. I think that's pretty respectable after having a few moments in that car.
Yeah, indeed. It's very, very respectable time there from Moto. I'm currently watching AC Oakhill. He's just coming through IRCC now on the run up to Catalonia. Looks to be having a relatively decent lap so far. Very, very good line out of that final corner. On that run up to the line now, 1:28.051, puts him P9.
Yeah, that's very fantastic. You know, AC Oakhill putting his first lap in there. Josh 32 has a good chance of gaining very vital championship points today. So again, he's in the pit. I think he's waiting to see when it dries up. Is he going to get a chance to come out and put a blistering lap time out?
Potentially. He was out on track a few moments ago, maybe just not keen on trying to drive in these wet conditions, hoping that maybe the sun does come out and the rain stops and the track dries up just that little bit for him, so he's able to come out on those slick tyres, which, as everyone knows, is the faster tyre in the comparison between the slicks and the wets.
Definitely, and now we're kind of seeing Sir Sharks now in the other Renault coming round towards the back straight now, as he's going to get past the Alpha Tauri. Very nicely done from him. Good communication, I'm assuming, between those drivers. But now, nicely done. Coming through there, and I think now that's him just coming onto the back straight now. If I would pay attention to my MFD in front of me, I'd be able to actually see that. But no, Andrew, you tended to see it, but Thunderdome has been disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane.
I can only assume that must mean that Thunderdome's had a little bit of a moment coming round the final corner on the entry into the pit lane, and has ended up spinning and was unable to potentially right himself.
That could be it. Maybe we can get some confirmation in the Discord as to what actually happened there, but you know, as the game speaks, you have to follow it sometimes, even though we might not like it. I think James F1 might go out for another lap on 4-lap old inters. Obviously he knows that it is going to be dry eventually, so he's not really caring about tyre life.
No, that's definitely going to be the case there. So I don't know what shot. Moto had a little bit of moment again coming out of Lacacia at the end of turn 10 there. After that, what would normally be the DRS straight, looks to be up on his time though. He comes round through RACC now on that run up to Catalonia. Is he going to stay? He is going to stay out. Very, very nice line around Catalonia, and he comes across the line just nearly 4/10 faster. I don't think that actually changes his position. He stays P8.
That's quite interesting. He obviously wants to be a bit higher than that, but again, he might just be thinking, this track will dry up, hopefully, in the last few minutes. I can get out on some soft tyres and I don't have to worry about it. But, oh, Ferrari behind me there actually takes a bit of an off.
Yeah, I was just watching the it was the Ferrari of Jamie 29X that was out on the outside of the track there at turn 3.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened to him, but I know for a fact he got his first race win just a few races ago after 40 odd races in the Invictus Racing League, and you know, he was very dubious about it and quite humble about it as well.
He was. Ooh!
Fantastic to see.
Massive off by Light Shock. I think that was coming around Catalunya. He's lost the back end on exit of Catalunya, and he's just gone straight into the wall there. That is a massive off for Light Shock.
That's quite interesting, as we know that Light Shock is a fast guy, so that could be a bit of a problem for him coming into race.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely going to put him further down the pack in a position he might not particularly want to be in. And I believe he's driving the Haas this evening, am I right?
I do believe he is in the Haas. I think he's the only driver this evening in the Haas automation car, which is quite strange. We normally see a few drivers in the Haas, but again, fastest lap by St. Johnston, 1:26.589. He just out-timed his teammate there, AMG Reckless, who we saw last week make his debut in the Ferrari. You can see some, I think we're going to see some very respectful racing from him. A lot of the guys were very dubious about the idea of having him in the league. Quite a lot of the drivers are in the pits at the moment, but DJ Danny comes across the line. Still can't go faster, he's 9th. But he's going to go for another lap.
I'm riding on board with the Josh 32 here. He's just making his way up TV3 now. He is actually in the sister Haas, so we have got 2 Haas drivers this evening.
Coming up, 2 Haas drivers, yeah, Josh 32, yeah.
Coming up through turn 9 now, what would be the DRS straight? Obviously can't have that DRS open due to the wet conditions. Has a little bit of a lock up there going into Lacacia, but doesn't seem to have too many issues there. Looks to be able to run that line very smoothly around these last few corners on the run up to Europe car, and then of course the final 3 turns here of RACC, and then the final turn of Catalunya. Be interesting to see how he goes there. Very nice line through RACC. He comes around Catalunya now. Doesn't want to get onto the power too early. Waits until he's fully round the corner before putting in a lap time. So 1:28.176. It's only enough for P12.
Yeah, I think the Haas, obviously, with a lack of downforce and the car just being notoriously difficult, is going to be quite a problem for Josh 32 to make some moves in this wet condition. So hopefully, when we see it get a bit drier, he starts lap times out.
Yeah, definitely. I'm currently watching Stallion W7 have a real issue here, trying to get around turns 2 and 3. Got onto the power just a little bit too early after initially spinning. Ended up spinning for a second time. So those tyres are going to be very warm right now on that McLaren. So he just needs to go careful for the next couple of turns. Just let those tyres cool down a little bit before he tries to push anywhere else. Again, he's really twitchy out of Repsol there as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Stallion does come into the pits here and just changes those tyres up as we get ready to move into the final 5 minutes of qualifying, Andrew.
Definitely, and obviously seeing James F1, he's 5 seconds up on his time right now already. Just, I'm guessing that is just due to having a little bit of an incident. Obviously, I think it was his outlap there, so he is now, be really wide round turn 3 there. I'm not too sure as he comes up to Repsol. He's a little bit tentative on the power there. I think he knows he's okay for just now. His lap's still on, but whether he's going to get an improvement, I'm not too sure. As there's a car just up ahead of him. I think he's had a bit of an off coming into turn 8.
Yes, it was AC Oakhill. Lost it a little bit coming through TV3. And did end up very close to the wall. I'm just checking from the front on. He has got right end plate damage on that front wing. So he did have a little brush with the wall there. Whilst he was on his outlap. So I wouldn't be surprised if you do see AC Oakhill just dive into the pits. Just to get that new front wing. Because, especially on a track like this, downforce is very important.
I think that echoes quite massively with a lot of the drivers at the moment. I mean, we've got 3 minutes left to quali. It stopped raining, but the track it's still quite damp out there. That dry line is still not fully developed into the road, so you know, a lot of the cars still got a bit of pace left in them at this moment. I doubt that we're going to see much change in times coming into the last final 3.5 minutes quali here at the circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia.
Yeah, I'd be very, very surprised here. Just looking to see if we've got any drivers who are on out. Yep, Jamie 29X just coming through Catalonia now in this Ferrari. He comes up across the line.
Sixth fastest.
1:27.332. Very, very strong lap time there by Jamie 29X in that Ferrari.
Definitely, and I think that rings very true as well to performance there. That Ferrari, even though it may not be the fastest car in a straight line, it still has some decent all-out paces. I think James F1 has just ruined his lap time. We'll jump on board with Raza as he comes into Moto for this lap, and I'm not too sure how much he has in his time. Quite slow through there, I think, being very tentative on the power. That could hamper he gets out of this car, as he is third fast at the moment. I don't know if he's going to be top. No, he's +2 on his time there, which is very unfortunate for him. AMG Reckless running second at the moment in the Mercedes. Yeah, just watch him this lap, I think, because again, a lot of pressure on a new boy here, especially when it comes to Catalonia.
Yeah, I think AMG Reckless is someone that we're definitely going to be having a look at, especially from my point of view anyway. Especially because it's only his second race. It's very much of an unknown quantity. So drivers don't really know what to expect from a driver like AMG Reckless. So it sort of gives him free rein to be able to sort of show everyone what he's able to do, to sort of make a name for himself. So it should be very, very interesting to see how AMG Reckless.
Sector 2 when
there we go. It gives him a perfect chance. Yeah, it gives him the chance to show what he can do.
St. Johnston 02 not had the best of seasons so far. He's missed a few races, so he's unfortunately out of contention for points to finish the championship here. But obviously the two Mercs, just with that intense downforce, obviously showing that they are 125.9 there from Reckless. Fantastic lap from him. Full purple all the way around. Just shows the domination that these Mercs have around here.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very, very strong lap time there from AMG Reckless, of course, in that Mercedes. So he's in the fastest possible car that he could be in on this grid. But even though you've got the fastest car, doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be the fastest driver. So it does come down to a fair bit of skill as well, as James F1 ETC goes P2. 126.544 splits those two Mercedes cars.
Definitely, and again, I think it rings very true to the fact that, you know, when we look at Raza 410, he was up there, but El Senado going second fastest again. I think obviously that track drying up slightly, so the car's just been a little bit better, and I think Raza 410 has slowed down. I'm assuming he's on low fuel.
Potentially, I'll jump on board with him and just confirm that. Have a look at his telemetry. Yeah, I can confirm he is on low fuel mode. He has got that red fuel light, so he will be going very, very slowly now for the remainder of this lap. And has to be very, very careful of those drivers around him to ensure that he doesn't disrupt anyone's lap, especially when you're in low fuel mode like Raza is at the moment, as AMG Reckless improves his time.
Fastest again. 125.861 there, Keiran, from AMG Reckless, and I think he's just going to be, if he decides to stay in the league for the next season when we jump to F1 2021 in August, I think we're going to see some fantastic stuff from him.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to definitely see a very, very fast driver in the Invictus Racing League, and that can only help the Invictus Racing League as a league itself. We're able to then say we have got the fastest drivers on Xbox, and if you want to come and try your hand to be the best of the best on Xbox in realistic performance, then the Invictus Racing League is the place you need to be.
That's very true, Keiran, and it doesn't even just mean to be on Xbox, but PC as well. We also have leagues run on the PlayStation 2 as well. You know, obviously not PlayStation 2, but obviously we do have the leagues running there, as that's everyone pretty much done their quali laps, and Raza has retired from the session. He knows he can't get any more out of the car. A lot of the car is just chilling at the moment. Vermoto coming for a final time.
Very twitchy out of Catalonia there. Massive snap. And wasn't able to improve his time. 2/10 slower, unfortunately, there for Vermoto. I think that little twitch out of Catalonia there definitely took a lot of time off him.
And I think the Josh 32 on 127.3 is going to be probably the fastest he's going to be able to push out. He hasn't been able to green on any of the sectors so far, as I'm assuming he comes up into sector 3, we're not going to see any change there. He's still nothing for him, unfortunately. Obviously, we've seen the Josh 32 get some really nice racing done this season in his car, but yeah, he's unfortunately not going to improve anymore. But 9th is where we're going to see him start on the grid for this race. Obviously, it is going to be dry on the day. So this is our qualifying order. In first place, we have AMG Reckless. In second, we have St. Johnston 02. In third, we have El Senado. In fourth, we have James F1. In fifth, we have Raza 410. In sixth, we have JD29X. In seventh, we have Stallion W7. In eighth, we have Vermoto. In ninth, we have the Josh 32. In 10th, we have AC Oakhill 04. In 11th, we have DJ Danny. In 12th, we have Sir Sharks. In 13th, we have IRL Maps 21. In 14th, we have Light Shock 16. In 15th, we have Bots Gerbil. And in 16th, we have Thunderdome. So that is rounding out our 16-card grid here on the Invictus Racing League RP, as we are going to jump into the next session. Sorry, I have been missing quite a lot of the chat at the moment because we've been watching tentativeness, which is a wet quali. The Noodle's just stopping by for a while just to wait for a lift. Is it wet both? No, it is just wet for quali, as Keiran has pointed out to you. Virtual Super VSL, come on the Josh 32. And Calzona down bad for Bots Gerbil. Well, Bots Gerbil is starting up the back of the grid. Can he manage to pull it through like he has done in the past few races?
Oh, I'm sure he will. He's a very, very competent driver, is Bots Gerbil. I remember when I was lucky enough to commentate on the Realistic Performance League a couple of weeks ago in France, when, as you did mention, Jamie29 did pick up his first race win in Invictus. I was here with Matty. In your absence, unfortunately, Andrew, you had a few things you needed to take care of, and Bots Gerbil and James F1 had a ding-dong battle for the entirety of the race, and both of those drivers started relatively near the back for that race. So it will be very, very interesting to see whether Bots Gerbil is able to carry over the racecraft that he's had and used over the last couple of weeks to get himself into a strong position here in the race itself.
Definitely, and I think that also shows, you know, the level at which he's willing to push the car. He's very confident in most cars he gets in. He does a lot of race prep. He seems very suited to the Alfa Romeo. I've seen him, even when he's not just racing in Invictus, I've seen his other racing as well, and he just seems to be able to put that car anywhere on the grid he wants. Yeah,
I think Bots Gerbil is someone who is very, very attuned to the game. A driver that whenever I'm seeing him on my Xbox, in my friends list, he's always, 9 times out of 10, he's on F1. He's on a multiplayer lobby, he's driving, he's honing his skills, he's practicing with other setups, he's always on the ball when it comes to the F1 game and trying to better himself in any way he possibly can. And to be honest, I don't think it really matters in terms of Bots Gerbil which car you put him in. I think he will always give himself that very, very strong position and give him the best chance of getting points.
Yeah, we definitely need to get him on ACC with us, don't we?
For sure.
If we can get him to replicate some of the results he's done on the year in the ACC game. I think it's very, very true that we've got a lot of fast drivers on the grid. Obviously, Thunderdome's starting back at the grid, but he was fastest for a while before he got disqualified for blocking the pit lane, which is very unfortunate for him.
Yeah, indeed. So you can see the drivers readying up now, so hopefully we're going to be ready to go racing very, very soon, Andrew.
Definitely, Keiran, and it also rings true when we talk about how fast we're going to see this start in coming soon. We've got a lot of guys here. It's very warm out there as they're going to go out in their formation lap. Tires on. Everyone on medium and hards, it seems. We've got DJ Danny starting on hards from the back of the grid, IRL Mats, Light Shock 16 and Bots Gerbil all starting on hard tyres. Obviously trying to try their hand at pushing the car to the end as quick as they can and maybe getting that undercut.
Yeah, quite potentially. I mean, if you're starting on those hard tyres, it is only a one-stop here for all these drivers with them starting on the mediums and the hards. It was very, very unlikely that you were going to see anyone chuck a set of soft tyres on. Stranger things have happened, but the guys on the medium tyres, you're going to look to see them come in between laps 12 and 14 to stick on a set of hard tyres. And for the guys that are on the hard, so you've got 4 of those drivers there, as Andrew did mention, look about at lap 18 to 20 for those guys to come in and put on a set of medium tyres that will take them to the end. So of course those guys that are on the hards can run for that a little bit longer. So it should be very interesting to see, especially with the guys like Light Shock, DJ Danny and Bots Gerbil, those 3 guys that I did mention at the start of the broadcast as the ones that I've definitely got my eye on. How much they're gonna potentially look at possibly saving fuel to a degree, just to ensure that they have got as much excess fuel as possible for when they put those medium tyres on, so they can then push some laps on that rich mix in that faster fuel mode to try and see if they can either push away from those cars that are around them, or use that additional pace to catch up to the cars ahead if they need to try and push for those extra positions.
As we see here, obviously with the predicted pit stop strategies, we are going to see a one-stop race for most drivers, concluding that we're not going to have any damage, but stranger things have happened in the RP League. Some pretty crazy stuff happening over the season. If you haven't already, go check out the race highlights that have been put up on the YouTube channel at Invictus Racing League on YouTube. You'll be able to see all the previous races with myself and other commentators on the grid. Slam it up. See, there is 5 red lights, and off they go for the start of the Barcelona Grand Prix. Fantastic start there from a few of the drivers. The 2 AMGs getting off really well. IRL Matt's already pushing for position. It's big 3 wide coming into turn 3. The Haas of Light Shock 16 being a bit shaky, trying to see if he can push a lot of the drivers around the outside there. See if we can jump on board with St. Johnson. He's had a good start. El Senedo jumping into 2nd place, going up on AMG Reckless. F1 now in 4th. Raza just not managing to hold on, but we're going to see a lot of changes in these next few laps as El Senedo is just trying to hold on to the back of St. Johnson 02 as he starts to pull away coming into Sector 2 now. All these cars massively paced up. James F1 having a fantastic start. He's up on AMG Reckless already. Great start from him.
Indeed, just watched Fair Motor put an absolutely blinding move around the outside of DJ Danny on entrance into TV3 for P11. DJ Danny had pushed up very, very briefly at the start of the race in that Alfa Romeo. Got up as high as 9th as they were coming down the main straight, but has now since dropped back and is currently in P12 on those hard tyres. Really struggling to keep up with that Renault with Fair Moto. It's going to be interesting to see whether Danny is actually going to be able to push forward as the race progresses and get those positions back that he needs to try and get as many points as possible.
Definitely, and I think what I want to point out as well is obviously the medium tyres warm up quicker than the hards. Slightly softer compound. They're not as, I wouldn't consider as versatile when it comes to 1 lap pace to the hards, but once the hards get warmed up after about 3-4 laps of running, they're grained, they're perfect, they're ready to go. So we could see some position changes already.
Yeah, for sure. We've got the classic Cody's timing glitch, which we always like on the left hand side of the screen. It looks to have rectified itself now, so we're able to see everyone back in their normal positions. Let's have a look. I will say Danny's coming under a fair bit of pressure from Light Shock in the AlphaTauri. For Thunderdome, sorry, yes.
Thunderdome obviously on the medium set of tyres. He is going to be pushing DJ Danny on these first few laps, but later on in the race it's going to be a bit of a different race, I think.
Yes, for sure, definitely. When these guys that are currently on those hard tyres go onto the mediums, they are obviously going to have the pace that these cars around them have currently got. So the guys like Thunderdome and Fair Motor have that extra bit of pace on DJ Danny and the other hard tyre runners. But of course, once the pit stops have been done, things will change very, very quickly.
With Fair Motor down in 11th at the moment, obviously DRS will be enabled this lap. We have 2 DRS straights. We've got the back straight coming up to Lacazia, and we've obviously got the main straight after Catalonia into turn 1, which is a big overtaking zone. We're going to see now as a lot of the cars are going to be DRS trading into each other here. AMG Reckless is already starting to catch up on his, I would say, rival right now at the moment, James F1 ETC in the Alpha Tauri. Going to hopefully try and push to get that DRS pass into Lacazia, but will James F1 be able to defend? He does, he manages to defend nicely. I don't think AMG Reckless was trying to get past
to
there
jump
at
in,
all.
Andrew. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 2 as IRL Mats had a little bit of an issue coming into TV3 and did spin and was ended up backwards. Just have a quick look to see. I don't think there's any damage on that Ferrari. I will just look to try and see if I can find out. I can't see any damage on that Ferrari, so I think it was just a spin more than anything. It was just an off for that car. Yeah, I can confirm. Definitely no damage on that Ferrari for IRL Mats. But a lot of work for him to do now. He is now nearly 12 seconds off the pace, down in P16.
Definitely, and we were just watching on board there as AMG Reckless made that fantastic move on James F1 to go back. I'm into P3 at the start of this Barcelona Grand Prix. El Senedo is putting a lot of pressure on St. Johnson 02 at the moment. They are about 2 seconds ahead of the runners. Moto under pressure from the Josh 32, but the Josh 32 might not be able to get the move done in time. No, he doesn't manage. Very unfortunate for him, but he does have 1 DRS straight. We're going to stay on board with El Senedo here as he comes around Moto. 3-second time penalty for Thunderdome. Multiple warnings. Only 4 laps into the race. Obviously driving the wheels off that car to try and get back up in position again.
Yeah, he ran a little bit of wide on the exit of turn 9 there, and just went a little bit too far off track, and that's what caused him to pick up that third warning for track limits, which obviously results in that 3-second time penalty. I am currently watching Lightshot as he's attempting to try and see if he can gain up to the back of Thunderdome here. Not going to be close enough, but I will say Thunderdome could potentially look at a move for DJ Danny here into turn 1. Decides against it, wasn't close enough to that Alfa Romeo to be able to make a move just yet, but I'll definitely keep an eye on that for you, Andrew.
Yeah, so we just jumped on board with DJ Danny now as they come up towards Repsol, but El Senedo will probably make a pass within the next little bit, so we'll probably have that ready to jump to as they come up to the next DRS straight. So jump on there with them. I don't know, this is always just I always find this back straight just not long enough for a DRS pass. If you're as long as you're about 0.2 and they're not using overtake, I think it's going to be very difficult for you to pass there.
Yeah, I think
we're going to see El Senedo pushing a little bit more coming on this next lap. He's quite a lot of scrub on those rear tyres coming through into the RACC corner. Coming around Catalonia, he's managed to keep the car planted. St. Johnson pulling to the inside line, trying to break toe. But again, it's not going to be enough for El Senedo. I don't actually think he's using overtake.
No, I think out of the 2 DRS zones that we've got, as you did mention, the one between turn 9 and 10 is not really that long. But I'm going to say, watching DJ Danny here with a fantastic line on the Josh 32 around the outside of turn 1. Makes that move stick into turn 2, and that's DJ Danny up into 11th. At the same time, the Thunderdome is very much looking to try and see if he can also take the Josh 32, and is able to do so.
Off the track
He
there.
did. I wonder if he's going to hand it back. Yeah, I think he has handed that position back to the Josh 32, but will now look to take it back straight away. And this is just going to open the door for Lightshot, who's just behind these guys, to potentially get involved in the action as well.
James F1 ETC getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings round the Barcelona circuit, but Fermoso trying to look to make a move on his car teammate Sir Sharks. Wasn't enough speed, unfortunately, on the car to get past, but he is going to probably look to gain a bit more pace on the next coming laps. The annoying thing is for him is that Sir Sharks also has the DRS off ACO kill, which could be detrimental to his performance.
Will say, Andrew, just as you're commenting on that, El Senado has made that move on St Johnston down the main straight into turn 1, and will now look to try and see if he can pull away from that Ferrari of St Johnston as the Josh 32 retires from the session. I believe that was a retirement in the pits. As Thunderdome, sorry, he's had a little bit of a moment into turn 1 and is sideways at the moment.
That's very unfortunate for him. He just seemed to not get the power on the car very well there, which is quite unfortunate. But obviously, when we look at these guys, they know what they're doing. They'll get back up to speed in no time.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Thunderdome back on the back of that pack very, very soon.
We've seen the top 3 runners now managing to start to get away from the group. Oh, and there we go. St Johnston makes a spin, and that was nearly the end of AMG's race. If that didn't turn into a... I guess
if that car hadn't...
I mean, St Johnston protecting himself. He did ghost, which is good. But I think Lightshock 16 driving really slow around section 2. I wanna have a look and see if he can damage.
There is no damage on that Haas. There is no physical damage anyway. There's no cosmetic damage to that Haas.
So was that the Josh 32's car going round then? It must have been.
Yes, it would have. Yeah, it would have been the Josh. It was so the Josh 32 probably retired in the pits. The game would have recognised it as a pit stop and would have then brought the car out to do the first couple of corners before retiring the car.
Thunderdome's just been given a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane and has left the session. I don't know if that was intentional.
I hope that's not a disconnect, but I will be ready in case he does require another invite.
Raza 410's used quite a lot of his ERS already, which for him is not going to be good when he comes up to this straight, as James F1 will jump on board with him. He's, in all fairness, he's not got a lot of ERS either, so this could be Raza's. This could be Raza's pass coming through into Catalonia onto the final straight. He might be able to make a move with ERS. So we're just going to jump and just continue watching here, as I think we just had an incident. I think IRL Mats is off the track. Or is that... No, that's... Is it? I need to check that. Is that IRL Mats?
IRL Mats, yes. He did go off track on the run up to Lacacia. He is back on track now, though, taking Lacacia now, but again, having a lot of work to do if he is going to be able to try and get himself back into this race. Currently 11.5 seconds back as St Johnston comes into the pits, Andrew.
That's quite, yeah, so obviously he's probably pitting to maybe try and go on 2-stop after having that spin. I don't know what's really going on. I think I'm getting the glitch, Cody's glitch, with where it seems to be Lightshock's car is just maximising its revs all the time.
So I can confirm St Johnston has come in for another set of medium tyres and a wing change. So there was a front wing change as well on that on the Mercedes, which leads me to believe that potentially he had a little bit of damage as he made that spin at the end of sector 3.
Yeah, so that could have really led to having a bit of a problem there. Fermoto, Jamie 29X, Sir Sharks and Fermoto, sorry, are all having this DRS train, it seems, down into the final straight. They're just about to go round Catalonia now. Fermoto being quite tentative on the throttle round there, but Sir Sharks instantly into the draft of Jamie 29X. We're going to see him make a move, clean pass round the outside of Sir Sharks. sorry, Jamie29X Shark makes that move. Very nicely done from him. Through turn 1, turn 2 now.
I will say Lightshock had a little look. Lightshock did have a little look with DJ Danny coming into turn 1. There was a little bit of a switchback done by DJ Danny as a defensive move. Was able to hold on to that P9 though, so Lightshock very much on that rear wing though of the Alfa Romeo of DJ Danny. So just be aware that Lightshock could make that move very, very soon.
Yeah, we'll be watching that battle. We're on board with Raza 410, as he is going to be making a move, hopefully, on James F1 round this next corner. He should be looking to push on this next lap. He's just struggling to stick to the back of that Alpha Tauri, which, again, we know that that car is pretty nifty. The fact that Pierre Gasly managed to get a win in Monza over the McLaren, so definitely favours the kind of high speed, low downforce tracks.
Indeed it does. Currently watching AC Okio here in this Red Bull at the back of what could be considered a two-part DRS train.
And Raza 410 just makes a spin into turn 2 there. That is detrimental for him. I think he's hit the wall.
Well, that's definitely not going to help Raza's race. AC Okio has made that move on Botch Gerbil now for P11. So AC Okio moves up in position.
He always does. He's got right end plate damage to his car, so he is going to need to pit. That is, as far as we can see it, the end of Raza's push to get into the final points there.
At least for now, anyway. Yeah, it definitely will. I mean, Raza could always come in now, put a set of hard tyres on. It would now then force him... I mean, he could, yeah, theoretically push it to the end. The tyres could start screaming out towards the end of the race. With this, it is always suggested to do about 18 to 20 laps. It could well be a repeat of Monza. So what I was potentially thinking was Raza could always come in for a set of hard tyres now, and when he starts feeling those hard tyres go, potentially put a set of soft tyres on, because of course a lot of these cars still do need to pit. So if he comes in early enough, he might be able to get a very, very strong undercut on the cars ahead of him, which could then enable him later on in the race, should the tyre wear permit, come into the pits again and put a set of soft tyres on to, one, catch up to anyone that may overtake him, and two, potentially push for that fastest lap and that extra point, that all-important extra point for the fastest lap.
Definitely, and I think that's probably his only fastest bet at the moment. As we see Jamie29X, he is pushing their sharks a little bit still, but he's making mistakes, which is costing him quite drastically. He's gaining it but losing it back quite quickly. Sharks, he's just getting away, but he's coming into the clutches of Mr. Ferramoto now and the other Renault. Back straight here.
Yeah, so I can confirm, Andrew, that it is hard tyres on that McLaren of Raza.
Good thing for him is he's not come out last, which means he still has the potential to go for a push if he can gain 20 seconds.
Yeah, of course. I mean, 20 seconds is sort of, it's there or thereabout what you lose in a pit stop here at Catalonia. The average pit stop time is about 21 seconds. And that obviously takes into account that you don't have any wing changes or anything like that. Of course, if you have got a wing change, it is going to add that few extra seconds on. So there's 21 seconds from the moment you hit the first pit lane line to the second pit lane line. So it's about 21 seconds that you will lose there. So if Raza could make a few seconds up here, he might be able to make a very good undercut.
Move on Lightshock 16 into turn 1. Lightshock not trying to cause any contact there, but a little bit did happen. I think it was side pod, but nothing is going to happen here, as he still has the inside line coming through into Repsol. The Haas still trying to stick a nose on, and it looks like DJ Danny has managed to just make it past, but
oh, not yet. Lightshock's coming back though.
Again. Fantastic driving from these two. Really nicely done. And I think that is DJ Danny safe for just a couple of seconds now, as we're going to see. He'll probably try and make another move, as AC Okill's trying to get into the battle now as well.
I will tell you now, I was watching that battle from the onboard of AC Oakhill, And oh my goodness, that was some fantastic racing between Lightshock and DJ Danny. Just shows how strong these two drivers are. AMG Reckless in the pits.
Yeah, I was just about to say AMG Reckless in the pits. That promotes James F1 into second place and Stallion W7 into third. But again, he is now on a set of hards, so he's going to be looking to go to the end. 14 laps in, so he does have about 19 laps left to go. Definitely possible on hard tyres.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for fair motor.
Look at that. AC Oakhill makes a move on Lightshock there.
Yeah,
Lightshock,
fantastic move there.
It was all under DRS.
Yeah, fantastic move there by the Red Bull of AC Oakhill.
Yeah. I was just going to say, he's very low on ERS though. So
he is
going to be at risk again on Lightshock, who has still got about 20% left in his cars.
Yeah, and between now and... Yeah, between now and the DRS straight at turn 9, Lightshock will not use any of that ERS. He will look to just conserve as he comes up through TV3 up towards turn 9 now. Down turn 9 is here where you will see Lightshock really trying to engage as much of that ERS as he possibly can. In fact, fun fact, decides against it. Doesn't actually use the ERS at all, just relied on that rear wing to try and close that gap to AC Oakhill. Maybe knew that he wasn't going to be able to make the move with the ERS as well as that rear wing. So could potentially look for a move down into Catalonia now, as 4 of the top 5 have pitted. Yes.
And that's leaving James F1 out on the track. And that, ooh!
AC Oakhill dives into the pits from P8.
Yeah, I was going to say there, I think he just got off with that one. As it did seem a little bit sketchy. He missed the actual light going into the pits.
Yeah, I think maybe he ran a little bit wide and thought, you know what, let me come in now because I'm going to get taken by Lightshock anyway. So I may as well just give him the position now and look to try and fight another day as the race goes on.
Sir Sharks went into the pits that lap. And Ferramoto obviously as well. He was in, I think he came in a lap before.
He did, yes.
So obviously not double stacking just yet. We're not that desperate. Oh, he loses it a little bit round there in Repsol.
AMG Reckless within 8/10 of El Senado, trying to hunt down that Racing Point car as they come through Sector 3 now, through Europe car into the last few turns here. Moto, and then of course you've got the RACC and then into Catalonia.
James F1 still hasn't pitted yet, so he must think that those medium tyres are still okay for him at the moment.
Yeah, it must be very interesting. Have a quick look at that car of James F1. I can't... The cord is on that left front. It is looking about 2/3 of the way across that tyre now, from the inside to the out. So he could start feeling the effects of tyre wear. If he isn't already, he definitely will be feeling those effects very, very soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if James F1 is trying to stay on these medium tyres to one, bridge a gap because of his 3-second penalty. Additionally, yeah, and then potentially looking to virtual safety car.
That was Jamie 29X took a little bit of a spin.
Virtual safety car. So now I will keep an eye on James F1 because I wouldn't be surprised if he does now come into the pits, depending on how long this virtual safety car period is. There's a strong chance you may see James F1 come into the pits. I'm going to watch now. He's coming through RACC.
Ooh. We had a bit of an off there from...
And yes,
Sir Sharks.
James F1 pits. James F1 has come into the pits here at the end of lap 15.
Stallion gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under VSC, which is going to be detrimental for him as well, as he was 7th at that moment, but he is going to have to serve that penalty.
Indeed he is, and that is hard tyres going onto that AlphaTauri of James F1. He is going to obviously lose a couple of positions to AMG Reckless and El Senado. Could potentially lose positions to DJ Danny. No, he is out in front of DJ Danny. So James F1 ETC coming out in P3, Andrew.
Yes, that's going to be very good for him, but we could see DJ Danny now. His tyres will be coming to the end of their lifespan between 16 and 22 laps is the recommended time that you hit. Jamie 29X
We've lost
retired.
Jamie. I think he's lost that out of Catalunya.
Yes, he's been having bad problems with the car. This is the whole point that we had. The virtual safety cars, he lost it coming around sector 1. In turn 1, turn 3. And that sneaky S is there, and I think he had some damage and lost it. He tried to go into the pits.
Big shame there for Jamie's winner on there, especially after the last couple of races that he has had. He's had some very strong performances, so I think he will be quite disappointed in that performance, unfortunately, not being able to finish here in Spain.
Yes, as we're talking now, Light Shock 16 is all over the back of DJ Danny. DJ Danny got past him just about 5 laps ago, and ever since then, DJ Danny has been just trying to get away. These two drivers obviously on the harder compounded tyres from the start of the race, starting near the back of the grid. As we see, is he going to make a move down the inside here? Is DJ Danny going to defend? No, he doesn't need to defend. Not enough speed on Light Shock's car. As you can, he's just glitching out for me, where his car is just maximising revs. So.
Yeah, I got it when he was in 5th gear for Light Shock's car, but since then he's not too bad in terms of hitting those revs. So luckily I haven't had to worry about the what can be considered as horrific noise of that rev limiter topping out every single time a driver puts their foot on the accelerator. I know from the F1 side of things how frustrating that can be to hear at times.
Yeah, so Thunderdome has managed to make it back into the session. I'm assuming that's his car. No, he actually hasn't managed to. He's left his ghost in the race. He's actually ghosted, which is very unfortunate. I think he might be told off for that. You're not meant to leave your ghost in the race.
I didn't get any notification from Thunderdome asking for an invite, so I assume he didn't require one. I'm watching Thunderdome, St. Johnson here, looking to make a move on IRL Max. Very easy move there, but IRL Max could potentially come back through Lacacia. Goes for a switchback and makes it work. Fantastic recovery there from IRL Max following that attempted overtake by St. Johnston into Lacacia.
We actually missed a little bit of that because I just couldn't get my directions right as I was trying to view it from the side angle of the F1 car of
Light Shock just leaving the pits now, Andrew, on those medium tyres, and importantly ahead of Stallion, so he is back in P10. Light Shock has pitted though, so it'll be interesting to keep an eye on DJ Danny and Bots Gerbil to see when those guys decide to come in and change onto those medium tyres.
Yes, definitely. I'm going to jump on board with AMG Reckless at the moment, as he is starting to gain a little bit of time on El Senedo, but El Senedo is managing to keep that car within that 1 second window as they are going to come up. If he can just keep it between the 1 second time, we're going to see these cars actually battling again on the straight.
Yeah, AMG Reckless giving a very account of himself, a very good account of himself, as St. Johnson picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Just have a quick look at that penalty situation. We have got a number of drivers on 3 seconds. James F1, Bots Gerbil, Fair Moto all on 3 seconds worth of penalties. ACLQ on 6, St. Johnson on 9, IRL Max is also on 3, and Thunderdome's ghosted car is on 11 seconds worth of time penalties. As DJ Danny comes into the pits and is going to come out on those medium tyres now. Most importantly, is Light Shock going to be able to get ahead of DJ Danny coming into turn 1 here? Light Shock is able to get ahead of DJ Danny, so that undercut has worked for Light Shock.
So I think, as I'm gonna jump on board now and just watch after that. As we were actually just watching AMG Reckless there, as he was starting to gain time on El Senedo again. But I do think that this is going to be a battle that's going to happen this whole race.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I will jump to this Reckless versus El Senedo battle. As both cars moving through the ghosted AlphaTauri of Thunderdome. Reckless with that DRS open. El Senedo pulls to the right to attempt to break that toe. Interestingly, AMG Reckless does not follow him and is just going to go on pure pace alone. intrigued to think whether if AMG Rex had gone behind El Senado then tried to grab that toe, whether he would have been able to catch that racing point there. Instead, El Senado maintains P1. As we have a yellow flag.
Yellow flag in sector 3. I was St. Johnston had a bit of an off. Sorry, I'm going to spam through quickly to have a look. He's got no damage, so it does look like he just may have lost.
I think it was, yeah, just a spin. It was just a little loss of power there. But he is going to come into the pits. 10 lap of medium tyres, he is going to come into the pits. So I would assume he's going to come in for another set of... Yeah, I'm going to assume he's going to come in for a set of hards now, potentially, to go to the end of the race. Yes,
he could actually manage the end of the race on medium, he tried. But he would drop off probably after about 9 laps.
I'm just going to
around about here, but AMG Rex was still all over the back of El Senado.
Yes, and Johnson did start the race on those medium tyres, Andrew, so I think he would still need to have that tyre change, which is why he's put those hot tyres on now.
Ah, that would make sense. I would assume that's the reason why. But AMG Reckless all over the back of El Senado again. There's only 0.1 between them coming into the braking zone. He just couldn't get past El Senado. El Senado is probably one of the most defensive drivers on the grid at the moment. He's very good at putting his car where it needs to be, and he knows if he just keeps his cool, he's going to make some moves.
Yeah, he is indeed. And watching DJ Danny now come through RACC and now coming around Catalunya within half a second of Light Shock 16. Very, very good exit there. He's got that DRS open. He's got Rich Mix. He's going to make this a very, very easy move from DJ Danny around that Haas of Light Shock. And that is DJ Danny up into P8 here at the Spanish Grand Prix.
Very nicely done from him. Sorry I couldn't hop to that, but I'm just too intrigued with this El Senado AMG Reckless battle.
This could make the battle. This could make the battle between DJ Danny and Lightshock interesting, Andrew. Lightshock's just picked up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings.
That could be detrimental to his race now, because obviously DJ Danny hasn't picked up any penalties yet. It would just mean that he has pace.
Indeed.
Anything. So El Senado still trying to break. He's trying to break the toe of that Mercedes, but we're going to see a move. He tried to push him to the outside line, onto the pit line, but nothing could be done there from El Senado. As that, I'm afraid to say that even though the Merc is very, very difficult at following covered cars, he made that move just look so easy.
Let's have a look. Here we have got a light shot. He's going to try and potentially come back at DJ Danny. Danny had a little bit of a moment on entry into Catalunya. AC Oakhill has had a big moment coming out of Catalunya. He's ended up in the gravel. Is Lightshot going to be able to make a move on DJ Danny into turn 1? He's not able to do so. So DJ Danny lives to fight another day in P7 here. Be interesting to see Lightshot to see whether he is able to come and make another attack on that Alfa Romeo car as this lap progresses, Andrew. I will keep you informed.
Definitely, as we're actually watching the battle now. It just seems to be getting spicier and spicier. And I want to say though, even though that Haas is just underpowered, both of the cars are running on Ferrari power, but that Alfa Romeo just seems to have a better pace than what the Haas has overall. I think with just the aerodynamic flow and everything off the car. So we're going to see, nice blocking from DJ Danny to try and stop Lightshock getting past there. He looked like he was going to try and shoot down the inside line if he could, but it wasn't going to happen for him. James F1 was the fastest lap time there on those 6 lap hard tyres.
And we'll say you probably have seen those yellow flags being waved, Andrew. They are for AC Oakhill. Again, a massive off. He has got front wing damage. So after that off that he had at Catalunya on the last lap, he has ended up getting some end plate damage on the left hand side of his front wing, which of course has really detrimentally affected his downforce as he picks up another 3-second time penalty. He's really trying to nurse this car back to the pits again into the gravel track out of Europe, guys. He moves through moto towards RACC. And
I think that's going to be very detrimental to his race. I think that's it over. He's been given 10-second time penalty for corner cutting there.
And 5 seconds of speeding
you know,
in the pit lane, so I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see AT Hoka potentially just put a set of tyres on just to try and get those points for actually finishing the race.
Definitely, I mean, we do have a point system that rewards all drivers for finishing the race here. Whether you are first to last, you still get points for finishing, no matter what happens. And that is Light Shock. He's still sticking to the back of DJ Danny. Oh, his AC O'Kill's just decided to leave, but he's left his car in the race. Very unfortunate for him.
Indeed.
I'm not surprised. I would have been very demoralised after having that there, but we're going to see Light Shock 16 have another go trying to get past DJ Danny here on lap 25, lap 26 here. Sorry, lap 25, and we're going to see some good pace. He's just not got enough on DJ Danny. I think DJ Danny's full rich mix and everything going down there just to hold him off a little bit. They come up towards Repsol now. They take the inside line, go wide, and it's just not worked out for him there. He's lost a bit of time coming into Repsol now. He's a little bit looser on the brakes than what DJ Danny is, but hasn't managed to gain any time out of it, unfortunately.
No, he hasn't. Gonna look and see if El Senedo can potentially... No, coming through RACC into Catalonia. El Senedo drops out. Oh, I thought he had dropped outside of that 1 second mark. He has not done so. So we could potentially see a move from El Senedo. He's not going to get anywhere near close enough to AMG Galaxies just yet. As St. Johnson does set the fastest lap of the race so far. That was a let's have a quick look, see if I can find it. There we go. A 1:18.538 from St. Johnston there in that Mercedes, Andrew.
Well, if he can, the thing that I'm trying to say now is, if he can gain 27 seconds somehow and get, well, I mean, it's going to be more like 30 odd by the time that he's finished. He can get that extra point for that fastest lap. But there we go, Light Shock 16 made it look so easy on DJ Danny there, up into P7. Keiran.
El Senedo again had that DRS open on that run between turn 9 and Lacacia, but not close enough to make that move on AMG Reckless. But he's a lot closer than he was last lap now as the cars are coming through. Europe Kart Moto down into RACC, and then finally Catalunya through the chicane now around Catalunya, and El Senedo is much closer now to AMG Reckless. Reckless has, most importantly, got DRS from that lapped car of St. Johnston, and that is going to keep that Mercedes ahead of El Senedo. These two Mercedes cars working very, very well together. St. Johnston just looking to potentially give AMG Reckless a little bit of a tow here in this Mercedes, which is interesting because I don't think, do correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, I'm not sure if these guys are actually teammates in the Constructors' Championship or not.
So I'm not actually too sure about that, because obviously AMG Reckless is new. I will have a look at the race information that we got handed today, but it's gonna be, I would assume, very close to what could have potentially been. I know that El Senedo's had his fair share of teammates this year. I don't think it's any fault of himself though.
Nah.
I will just quickly pull up. I had to go and grab the file again. It's the second time I've had to grab it. So, I will go and get the teams up for you. So El Senedo and AMG Reckless, yes, Wales F1, El Senedo and AMG Reckless are both in the same team. So they are fighting for top points.
They are.
And I'm gonna try and see if I can update you on where they are at the moment, because I think they're not really anywhere near. Let's have a look at the championship. Yeah, Wales F1, they're 7th on the championship table. They're about 120 points adrift, so this will be good for them to try and see if they can push up a little bit. But they're again 46 points off of 6th, so you know this is going to push them up. But obviously, I think Light Shock in the team above, it's not going to be enough to push any more until Singapore, maybe, when anything can happen right in Singapore, as we've seen in the past. So
yeah, for sure, definitely Singapore is that X factor where, as you say, anything could happen. A car that doesn't necessarily expect it to get big points is able to do so. I will say, Andrew, the overhead conditions here, moving into the last few laps of the race, suddenly got very, very gloomy. Wondering whether there is the prospect of rain towards the end of this race.
I don't think it would make too much of a difference, but IRL Mats threw on a set of soft tyres to go 118.46. And St. Johnson on hard tyres went at 118.284. And in actual real life terms, 118.284 is only 0.1 off of the actual real record set by Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes-Benz AMG. I think it was the W10.
So St. Johnson getting insane levels of pace out of that Mercedes car here. Got a quick look at DJ Danny, who is now trying to hunt down Lightshock again. Of course, DJ Danny has that technically that 3 second advantage over Lightshock due to those penalties that Lightshock does currently hold. Now he doesn't have to push too much to regain that P7. Obviously, will want to do it on track, but knows that Lightshock has got that penalty should he need to be reliant on it. Wasn't close enough into turn 1, so Lightshock does live to fight another day in P7.
Definitely, and I think DJ Danny knows that as long as he can just stay within that DRS zone, he's going to be gaining time, and as far as he's concerned, P7 for him, he's happy.
Yeah, I mean, P7 is still a relatively decent amount of points. I believe P7 gives you about, I think it's 14 or so points in the Drivers' Championship. So it is still a very, very strong performance from DJ Danny. Of course, with Botch Gerbil being further behind him, as well as Lightshock, once the cars obviously cross the line, means that DJ Danny is going to be able to extend his lead in that Drivers' Championship just by that little bit more going into that final race in Singapore. So it could make it very, very interesting for that final race, Andrew.
Definitely, and obviously, as we know, he is very fast around Singapore. Even if it's wet or dry, we're going to see something happen from DJ Danny that is just going to be absolutely wonderful to watch.
Yeah, definitely. As we said previously, El Sonedo's picked up a 3 second time penalty, Andrew. He just came a little bit too tight into TV3, which is obviously turn 7 here in Catalunya. Trying to push that little bit extra to try and see if he can get that overtake on AMG Reckless. But of course has now hindered himself in the process. Now has 6 seconds worth of time penalties. So a very, very big challenge for El Sonedo to potentially try and win the race from this position, as he would need to pass AMG Reckless and gain a 6 second lead, which is going to be a big, big ask, especially with only 4 laps to go.
Definitely is. We're going to see him try and make a move down the inside here on AMG Reckless. His teammate, he is going to do it. Very nicely done from him. We've got some very respectable racing from these two so far, and they've just not made any contact. They've just given each other enough space, and obviously AMG Reckless is just happy that he's got somebody to fight, I think. And he, we've seen him really show pace in the faster cars, so hopefully next week when we see the allocations for the cars, that we see him in a slightly medium car and see what he can do around Singapore.
Yeah, indeed that is the case. DJ Danny did end up making a move on Lightshock. DJ Danny up into P7 now. Lightshock drops down to P8. Lightshock with DRS unable to make a move on DJ Danny going into turn 1 here on lap 31 in Catalunya. Very, very few laps left now. 3 laps left of this race for the guys currently on the lead lap. It's be very, very interesting to see if there are going to be any more last minute pushes from these drivers to see if they are able to make up those last few positions as this race ends here in Spain.
Definitely, and I think obviously we see El Sonedo putting in a 118.097, which is actually faster than the actual real life record round here, which again, I'm pretty sure it's the same car that broke it. Hashtag pink Mercedes. We've got El Sonedo pushing very hard here. Reckless is actually losing a bit of time on him through sector 1, and into sector 2 he's only 0.5 down, which is, I mean, respectable.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether now Reckless has sort of cottoned on to the fact that El Senado has those 6 seconds of penalties. So I can, to a degree, let El Senado go, and knows that he is able to stay. If he is able to stay within those 6 seconds, he will still regain the top spot on that podium away from his Wells F1 teammate El Senado. Watching a light shot here, is he going to make a move now? He had that DRS, did get close enough to Danny to potentially make a move into turn 1, but did think that discretion was the best part of valor, decided against it going into turn 1. So watching the drivers now as they're coming through Repsol, is is Lightshot going to potentially look to line up a move, maybe up? I'd be very surprised if it is up TV3, but he's going to look to try and get as close as he can to DJ Danny as these cars do come through TV3. They're coming through now up the hill towards the DRS straight on round turn 9 up to Lacasia in turn 10. Lightshot not close enough to be able to make that move there. Yep, go ahead, Andrew.
I just want to say Stallion's actually now in the mix there as well. I mean, he does have time penalties, but Stallion W7 on the hard tyres is actually making a last-ditch attempt on this final lap to see if he can get by.
Yeah, indeed. It should be very, very good to see whether Stallion is going to be able to do that. And have a look at the penalty situation for you. So the battle between Lightshock and Stallion is going to be exactly for position as they stand. Both of the drivers do have a 3-second time penalty as it stands. So whichever crosses the line first at the end of this lap will have that P8 position. But we are going to watch now Lightshock. Is he going to look to make a move on Danny now into turn 1? No, again. Doesn't get close enough to the back of that Alfa Romeo. Has a little bit of a moment there coming out of turn 2. Does Lightshock. He's lost a little bit of time, and most importantly, Lightshock's fuel light is on Andrew. It's flashing red. He has less than a lap of fuel. His tank is pretty much empty. So you could well see some fuel saving coming into play now from Lightshock in that Haas.
Definitely, and I think, it just shows you he's had more of an aggressive stance on this race, where DJ Danny's more being of a laid-back approach, as you can tell by the fuel of both cars.
Yeah, so
as we see there, AMG Reckless sits in first place there, El Senado in second, James F1 ETC in third, Fairmoto is going to finish the race in fourth place. Sir Sharks will finish the race in fifth if he manages to cross that line, which he does. Raza 410s, he comes around Catalonia for the final time, is going to take P6, and DJ Danny, as he comes out Catalonia, is going to take P7. Lightshock and Stallion also P8 and P9. Very nicely done from DJ Danny, and I think that's Lightshock, Stallion across the line. Bots Gerbil coming round the line for one more time there as well. St. Johnston just behind as he's going to finish the race as well. Thunderdome's been given a 5-second time penalty even though he's not in the race, which, I mean, I don't think it really makes too much of a difference anyway. He's on 24 lap hard tyres.
I think that was a unserved penalty that Thunderdome did end up getting added to his race time there at the end of this race as we watch St. Johnston now cross the line.
Definitely. I don't know if I will leave you to get the guys into the party.
Yeah, not a problem, mate.
And we'll just go through all of that. Sir Sharks gets driver of the day from the game. Obviously tune in to the Twitter channel, the Twitter account tomorrow to get the driver of the week vote from all of the Xbox One leagues. There is 4 drivers, 2 from each league, usually sometimes the same one, so definitely check that out, as Fairmoto will put that up for you guys to vote on tomorrow. There we go. AMG Reckless already gets his first win in Xbox, the Invictus Racing League RP series here in Catalonia. Very nicely done from him. All British drivers on the podium. Fantastic driving from everybody. I'd like to say congratulations to everyone as well. I think that just cements even more the position of DJ Danny in his championship fight in the Xbox F1 RP League. But there we go, that's our top 10 there for you. AMG Reckless in first, El Senado in second, James F1 in third. In fourth we have Fairmoto. In fifth we have Sir Sharks. In sixth we have Raza 410. In seventh we have DJ Danny. In eighth we have Lightshock 16. In ninth we have Stallion W7. In 10th we have Bots Gerbil. In 11th we have St. Johnston 02. In 12th we have IRL Mats 21. In 13th we have Thunderdome. In 14th we have AC Oakhill. And 15th we have Jamie29X. And in 16th we have Josh Berry 2. Obviously, the last two drivers not managing to finish the race, so we'll score points. Welcome, guys. Just remember to include your audio into the broadcast, and we will get ready. Hopefully, when we get the other two into the chat.
We've got James just jumping in now.
We're still waiting.
We are still waiting on our race winner, AMG Reckless. We'll look to potentially just send him another invite.
We'll just wait for the game to come out of that session. That was fantastic racing from everybody there today. Obviously not too much action on track between all of the drivers, as we say. Spain's quite a boring race altogether, but we've definitely seen a perfect amount, I would assume, from everybody doing really well there today. So we'll just hopefully be able to catch AMG Reckless. I mean, he is the fastest, the first driver, so we can just start with our third place driver, James F1 ETC. How are you doing, buddy? Well done on that P3, and fantastic job throughout that race. How did it go for you?
It was quite uneventful, I feel, compared to everybody else. I was kind of too slow for Sonado and Reckless and Johnston at the start, but then I was very happy with the consistency sort of breakaway from the rest of the pack with the two McLarens before they sort of ran into troubles. So in the end, it was just sort of no man's land for the last like 60% of it, but it was a good one nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely. And a good question to have though is how stable does that AlphaTauri feel around?
I mean, obviously, as like I'm sure you guys don't need me to say, Barcelona is definitely one of the more unstable tracks on the calendar. Obviously, curbs will have no problem murdering you, but it definitely, I'd say it's better. You get better feel under the braking with the AlphaTauri. I'd say that's the big jump from that to comparing that to the bottom three cars, rather than like out and out stability. I'd still say that probably like actual fundamental setup is like, yeah, by far and away the most important. I mean, I literally changed my setup 5 minutes before the F1 race, the Equal Performance race on Tuesday, and it cost me like a little bit of pace, but it just made the car feel so much more on the front. And yeah, it's definitely, I think it's more just that rather than necessarily a trait of the AlphaTauri anyway.
Definitely, and I mean, we've seen quite a lot of positions gained in the AlphaTauri over this year. A lot of the drivers seem to be gaining a lot of time in that AlphaTauri when they get in it. But from our point of view, how do you think like your season's gone overall since this was the penultimate race?
I'd say it's been sort of like kind of a typical one. It's probably been my worst, like out and out performance from a consistency standpoint. I've been inconsistent compared to normal. But then I sort of have this really bad issue of at the start of the season, sort of not bothering to an extent. Like gladly from 1 week to the next, I just sort of won't practice. I'll just turn up on the night and straight into quali, and the first lap of quali will be my practice. But as the season's gone on, I've sort of like tried to embed it more. Had my fair share of bad luck, as well as bad luck brought on by myself. But yeah, just sort of was nice to actually keep it clean today. And yeah, to be fair, like Jake, Sonado and Reckless had way too much pace for me. They were absolutely insane, especially even if they were battling. So it was just nice to sort of see them actually be wheel to wheel as well. So it's all good, and just hopefully a good end in Singapore next week.
Definitely, I think that was very well done. I don't know if Kieran's got any questions for you.
Yeah, just the one from me. So you had the wet qualifying and of course the dry race. So going into that qualifying session, were you focused more on, in terms of the setup anyway, was it sort of putting a dry setup on and just sort of sacrificing that potential additional pace in qualifying for having that better control of the car over the race period?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think at first we weren't sure whether there was a chance that the rain was going to clear up towards like at the very, very end of quali, as it sometimes does. And obviously knowing that the race was dry, it was like very much a case of full dry setup. I know some people obviously will change wing angles in the wet. To be honest, it's not that I don't care. I just screw it, just give me tyres and go sort of thing. But again, I will say that from just before Tuesday to making it very like much more on the front, massively paid dividends in the Inters conditions, because that is by far and away like the best feel that I've had, best like quali lap performance compared to especially the likes of Danny and that, and that's considering our difference too. So it was a throw off, but I was just very lucky that the dry setup worked well in the wet.
Yeah, of course. Well, I think
well done to you.
Yeah, massive congratulations for that P3, mate. Andrew, I will just let you know, AMG Reckless, our race winner, unfortunately doesn't have a microphone, so is unable to join the party with us this evening.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'm sure we can catch up with him again soon. But El Sonedo, well done on P2. How did your race go from your point of view? And I think you showed that you had the all-out pace. You battled with him right to the end anyway. You know, he is now your teammate. Are you looking forward to working with him in future races? Definitely, and I think that expresses like everything that we've seen from you. And I've got one more question for you: is sum up your season. Okay, I like that. I think very modest as well. And I would like to say, you know, congratulations on P2, and yeah, hopefully we see some more action coming into the final race at Singapore. I do believe that it's still very open game at the moment to who could win the championship. DJ Danny obviously extending his lead. He has a bad race next week. It could be that the championship goes to somebody else. Anyway, thank you very much, guys, for joining us in the comms box for the interviews, and that concludes today's RP race around Spain Invictus Racing League. If you would like to see any more of this action, make sure to follow the channel and tune into more races when they go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays on the Twitch channels. And obviously, throughout the week, we do have races taking part on the YouTube channel, on the PlayStation and the PC leagues, with many of our other co-commentators and our broadcast colleagues that are very helpful and fantastic. And I would like to say thank you to them for staying with us this season as well. Without further ado, I'd like to say thank you very much to Keiran Wright 92 for jumping in tonight and helping me out in the comms box. I know it's not been easy over the past few weeks with trying to stick with the best group that we can, but obviously, as you know, the Xbox guys get it done. Anyway, thank you very much, guys, and we will see you guys again on Tuesday for the final race of the Equal Performance League on the Xbox with, it should be, Keiran Wright 92, who's joining me now, and Dom the Noodle.
Indeed, it shall be myself and Dom. Massive thank you for having me, Andrew, and look forward to seeing your final race next Thursday. Again, from Singly, you'll have the wonderful Matty along your side, and you guys can do what you guys do best.
Very, very well summed up there, Keiran, and we will catch you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in.